Okay, this video is going to be on how to use the gradient tool in Illustrator. The gradient tool is located right here. It actually looks like a gradient, the icon. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a default gradient. If you open up your swash panel, if you're not seeing your swash panel, you can always go Window Swashes. When the swash panel opens, I'm just going to go ahead and apply this orange to yellow gradient. Next, what I'm going to do, I want to modify this. So I'm going to open up the gradient panel. You can always go Window Gradient, or you can double click the icon and it'll launch it as well. Either work. And first off, you can decide what kind of gradient, the type, whether you want linear, radial, or freeform. I'm going to go back to the linear gradient here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to select this particular swash. If I double click it, it actually launches open a color bar scale from cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. I could use these sliders and I could adjust the color that's right here. I can also get rid of some of these colors. So if I don't want this one, all I need to do is click on it and pull it off. I can adjust these colors as well. So how the color's being applied. Maybe I don't want this last one here. I'm just going to pull it off. Again, if I want to adjust the colors, all I need to do is double click on them. It's going to launch this color palette with sliders, and I can readjust that gradient. Okay. Also, what I can do, and I'm going to close this. Okay, I'm not thrilled with that one right there. Okay, it's a little bit better. I've still been working in the oranges. You don't need to work in the oranges, meaning I could have gone to greens. I could have adjusted this one as well. And I'll go back to the greens, maybe add a little bit of bluish green here. I can always go in and change these. I could add more stops as well, so it's a little bit smoother, and change these colors. You can also go right into the gradient where you see this bar, and you can do the same thing. It's just it's doing the same thing. With the Adobes, you just have multiple options of doing basically the same thing. I'm not quite sure what I selected there. I can also grab this bar and I can elongate it. I can rotate it. Again, I can elongate it. I can move it around to readjust that gradient however I want it to end up. Okay, I'll do that one more time. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. This time I'm going to draw out a circle. And I'm going to go to my default swashes and I'm going to apply this last one, Fading to Sky. Okay, this one's a little bit different in that it has a solid color on the left-hand side and it goes to transparent. Okay, so I'm going to launch the gradient palette. So I'm just going to double click this and I get the gradient palette here. I'm just going to move this out of the way. And what I can do, just like before, I could click here. I could change the color sliders. I could click here and actually select a color from the color swashes. I could also do the color picker if I had an object to color pick from. I don't in this case. I can click this last one, do the same thing. I could click the sliders to do the sliders and I could adjust manually. Or I could come here and pick a particular color that I wanted. I also want you to note that this one is selected and I have 100%, the opacity is 0%, and this one is 100%. So I could come in here and change that. If I didn't want it 0%, I could change it to 40% or whatever I would want that percentage of opacity to be. I could come in here and I could readjust where the gradient sits on this circle by adjusting these points. I could even come in here and I could change the colors just manually within the circle. So basically Illustrator gives you multiple ways of doing the same thing. I could go to the end of this line, I could rotate it, I could reposition it wherever I wanted it to be along this line as well. Okay. Also, I could go to the next tool here, the freeform tool. Let me just redraw something. Okay, it set it in here. If I click on it, let me try that one more time. Draw out a circle. I'm going to I'll apply this gradient here. I'm going to go to the freeform. Okay, there we go. This is a new tool with 2020, and it gives you multiple color spots in here that you can adjust. I can click on this color. I could change the color that it's based on. If I click on it, I can also expand how that color is on here. I could click here and do the same thing. Maybe I want to make it orange. If I click on it again, I could enlarge it. Okay. If I want another spot, I just need to click in here anywhere, and I could change the color, similar to how I changed the other ones by simply clicking on it and either using your CMYK sliders or the different colors that you're given in the swash panel. All right, the final option here is you could lay out a shape. This time I will do a rectangle. Okay. I will apply a gradient. Apply a gradient here, and if I click and pull, I can do the line independently and then readjust it as well. So you can either go with the default, or you can click a short line. It's going to adjust the sliders based on that, or you can pick a long line and it's going to adjust the sliders based on how much you're pulling the gradient. And you can always go back and adjust it as well. Shorten it up, and I could rotate it. Again, you could switch back to radial, and then you could go back to the free form. Okay, you can always come back and I could adjust that gradient by pulling out on that gradient. Okay, the gradient tool is a lot of fun. I do want to mention that Illustrator does ship with gradients, so if you go to your swash panel and come down to the swash library and select gradients, you could pick one of the categories here, and you can also utilize one of these swashes that Adobe has made for you. I'm going to just pick one more, gradients, and I'll do seasons. I could select the object on my artboard, and I can apply a gradient, and I can always go back and adjust it. So I could pick maybe this one, I could launch the gradient tool, and I could make my own adjustments to that gradient that shipped with Illustrator. All right, that is the gradient tool.